football is named after an African American. It's been 100 years since Jack Trice, Iowa State's first African American athlete, took the field.
I resonate with Jack Trice so much because of how he challenged adversity.
If it wasn't for this man, I don't know where I'd be.
Iowa State players will honor Trice through their Legacy Game throwback uniform. Before they were the Cyclones, they were the Ames, what the early 1900 Iowa State athletic teams were referred to as. On October 5th, 1923, Trice penned a letter the day before playing in his first college football game. In it, he wrote, "Everyone is expecting me to do big things. I will." Those two words are showcased on both the helmet bumper and jersey collar. Nope, that's not Jaws. That's the Sharks of Long Island University. LIU has fully embraced their nickname this season. The Coastal Blue uniforms are a nod to Long Island's seaside living lifestyle.
The rivalry is over a century old, dating back to 1900. This season, the last time that these two teams will be in the Big 12 Conference for the Red River rivalry. Number 3 Texas taking on number 12 Oklahoma. Both teams undefeated and a lot on the line in this matchup. Texas leads the series 63 to 50 to 5. We'll see how that record changes today. That game at noon Eastern, and we're excited about it. Very weird though, because it's cold in Texas. It's what you said, 52 degrees? 56 degrees outside here. Welcome to Countdown to College Game Day, presented by Dr. Pepper. Christine Williamson, Harry Lyles Jr., and Harry Douglas outside in the freezing cold.
The wind chill is definitely playing a factor right now. Yeah. But we're going to overcome it.
Yes, we are. It was very toasty yesterday. I was sweating my little behind off. All right, we start every show with 3 big things. They're the things that we're either looking forward to this Saturday in college football or things that happen maybe this week. I'm going to let Harry Lyles start us off. What do you got?
I want to talk about Tez Walker, right? He finally got cleared to play by the NCAA. It was this whole thing, right, that we heard about at the beginning of the season. He was supposed to be one of their big playmakers on offense. He was transferring from Kent State. I believe it was his 2nd or 3rd transfer. So that's why the NCAA was iffy on it. My issue with this was, first off, I just think you should allow anybody to play once they decide to transfer, immediate eligibility, whatever. I just think the whole thing is ridiculous. The thing to me that was so absurd about this was the NCAA came out and said he's eligible now, and then had the caveat, right, of saying, North Carolina gave us some extra information that we needed before that they didn't previously have. And North Carolina was basically like, shut that up, right? And so basically, if you're the NCAA, you really got your hand forced into this because we're all telling you how wrong you were. I just think it is absurd. If you're going to point out and say we got extra information from North Carolina that we did not have before, you have to tell us what that information is. Otherwise, y'all are some cowards.
Yeah, you're lying. All right, HC, what do you got?
For me, I'm going to go with the unexpected undefeated teams right now in college football. And I'm going to start with Washington State and what Cameron Ward has been able to do with them. Then I'm going to move to the University of Louisville. Jeff Brom, going back to a city where he grew up, played there, coached there previously. And then also I'm going to go with Kentucky. You know, what Mark Stoops has been able to do there, Ray Davis having a phenomenal game last week against Florida. Then you think of Maryland. Mike Locksley, what he's able to do, Talia Tagovailoa, Tua's younger brother, having a phenomenal year so far. And then you look at Missouri, right? Missouri is doing really well. Luther Burton III, he's the leading receiver in college football right now. And then lastly, Christine, I know you're going to love this one, Miami. Mario Cristobal has the U undefeated. He's someone that played there, won national championships there, so he understands what it means to be the U. So he's trying to bring that back to Miami.
It's great to be a Miami Hurricane. Some tough teams on the schedule after Georgia Tech, too. So we'll see how that happens or how that goes down. Okay, for me, I'm going to talk about another undefeated team. It is this Texas Longhorns team. And I feel like, as we know, there's a lot of parity in college football this season. Georgia probably maybe not the #1 team in the country. But I feel like this matchup against Oklahoma today could really propel the Texas Longhorns into at least the top I would say the #1 position. All right, this matchup is the biggest matchup that they have. It's the second most impactful remaining game before conference championships, behind only Penn State, Ohio State on October 21st. That's according to the All-State Playoff Predictor. So this matchup, I feel like if Texas wins this matchup, obviously they have the Big 12 championship, but this could really solidify their position at the #1 spot. So we'll see how that matchup goes today. Of course, I mentioned it was at noon Eastern. Now, we just found out that the Big 12, we're going to go take a walk really fast. The Big 10 schedule was released. And here's how far the teams are traveling next season. So Washington going 16,570 miles, USC, 13,782. UCLA going 13,470, Oregon 12,450. Now Purdue only going 1,582 miles. So outside of Washington flying a lot and Purdue barely traveling at all, who are the winners and losers from this schedule release, Lyles?
Hey, I tell you what, I got a loser, and it's Wisconsin in 2025. Look, the benefit of that schedule, let's start with the good, right? They got Ohio State at home, and you've got Washington at home. The bad, you have to go all the way to Eugene, Oregon, which, aren't you like, oh, Lyles, isn't Washington farther than that? Yes, but it's easier to get to Seattle than it is to get to Eugene. We could all obviously vouch for that here. And then obviously on the road as well at Michigan. And then that one right there, Alabama. It's tough enough if you're Luke Fickell, you're trying to get this into a place where obviously, for as well as he did at Cincinnati, high expectations at Wisconsin, to go also to Alabama in that year is tough.
I think for me, when you talk about winners, I'm going to go with Ohio State first. Ohio State being able to win. So in 2024, they're going to play their normal schedule. They're going to have Penn State, I believe. I think they're going to have Michigan. But here's the thing about Ohio State. I'm trying to look, 2024. So they only add Oregon to that list. So that's very beneficial for Ohio State. Now, I'm going to go with the loser in 2024, and that's going to be the Michigan Wolverines. And what's daunting about their schedule in 2024 is that they have USC, Oregon, Texas.
Yeah.
And they also have Washington on top of Ohio State.
On the road.
Now, I would say this. The reason why their schedule is probably harder in 2024 is because in 2023, that schedule not so hard.
Right.
So I think, the schedule makers are trying to pay them back a little bit for a fairly easy schedule that they're dealing with right now currently.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to just say that we are all, as college football fans, winners when it comes to this Big Ten schedule. Look at all these matchups. Michigan at Ohio State, Michigan at Washington, and these are, of course, are the rankings this year. We don't know how that's going to play out in 2024. Oregon at Michigan, USC at Michigan. There's so many good matchups in 2024 that we can look forward to, so I'm just going to say we're all winners. Now, as we know, the SEC changing very shortly. Two teams, Texas and Oklahoma, headed to the SEC, but currently they're in the Big 12. Take a listen to this.
Welcome to college football. This guy's going to be a nightmare for Texas opponents.
The key to stopping OU's offense is to be ahead of the tempo and just be calm, poised, and be ourselves, be sound, and play technique football.
His defense is playing at a whole new level with Brent Venables and company.
We can't let him get into a rhythm offensively running the ball. You got to do a great job fitting gaps, and you've got to be the most disruptive group.
Pressure him and force him into just different throws that he's not as comfortable making.
I think we got to come ready in the front seven, just really stop that run game.
Making them actually go earn everything, not giving up free plays, big explosive plays, trying to play sound defense. Everyone does their job, make it harder for them.
Oh yeah, that matchup right here at the State Fair of Texas, which we'll talk a little bit more about that and what's going on these fairgrounds a little later in the show. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of food and a lot of games. Okay, before we get to that, we're going to talk a little bit more about that matchup. One of the top matchups happening today, the 119th Red River matchup, yet only the third time that both of these teams are undefeated. They're both 5-0 going into this matchup. Quinn Ewers, he has improved when it comes to improved this season, but he's kind of struggled when it comes to long passes, just 24%. HG, what can his wide receivers do to kind of help him out in this matchup?
And I'm going to be honest with you. I think he has some elite wide receivers at his disposal. When you look at Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, also Whittington, and then you look at the tight end position in Sanders. So I think it's more so on Quinn Ewers and what he has to do. He has to be more productive, be more of a precise passer, especially when it comes to the deep ball. I remember that game we were at Alabama and Texas, and Xavier Worthy made this spectacular catch. But in my opinion, I thought it should have been an easy catch, because if Quinn Ewers just would have threw the ball to the front pylon on the left side, it would have been an easy walk-in touchdown, and the catch wouldn't have looked so hard. So I think for Quinn, just being able to complete the deep ball and orchestrating things, diversifying the football to his weapons, and making sure that they are able to get it and catch and run when they do have it too.
All right, let's talk about the other side of it. Oklahoma. Brent Venables started things off a little rough at OU. It wasn't a great start. We know that defense is Brent Venables' thing. How can he slow down this Texas offense?
You know, it's funny because I feel like when we talk about Brent Venables, you hear Jim Knowles, it's almost like they're like designer, right?
Yeah.
Like designer college football defenses, and he is one of them. And they did not look like that last year. They've looked a lot better this year. You see this highlight here. They've played Tulsa. They've played SMU. They've played Arkansas State. They have yet to play a top offense yet, okay? And they're only giving up 10.8 points per game, which leads me to say, hey, maybe this is the Brent Venables defense. Maybe they are back. It's going to be different because of some of the guys that you had mentioned, right? You're going up against Quinn Ewers. You're going up against Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell. So this is going to be their toughest challenge yet. Like, if you are an Oklahoma fan, you say, hey, this is the type of game that we brought in Brent Venables for him to win and for his defense to show up specifically, because the offense has never been a problem at Oklahoma.
Right.
So if he's able to bring that defensive piece to this, then, you know, you're playing with something else.
Big 12 teams not playing defense. We haven't heard that one before. All right, let's go over to the SEC, and we're talking Kentucky at #1 Georgia. Now, this is 13 wins in a row for Georgia over Kentucky, 22 wins in a row overall for the Bulldogs, and yet they haven't looked that, impressive, I'll say, the defense specifically. Okay, so what has been the difference between the 2023 Georgia Bulldogs and the 2022 ones?
I think particularly when you look at the last few matchups, it's the inability to stop the run. And when a dual threat quarterback is inserted on the opposing team offense, that's when the Georgia Bulldogs struggle the most. You've seen that last week with Auburn. They had two quarterbacks who were dual threat guys that were able to do it within the run game and be in addition to the run game with their running backs. Now, I would say for Georgia also, from offensively, they've had some slow starts in the first half. They've been able to pick things up in the second half, but I don't know what's the offensive identity for the Georgia Bulldogs right now. Last week, Brock Byers, who I think is one of the best players in college football, was able to save them 4 catches, 121 yards, and a touchdown in the fourth quarter alone, and that actually helped them be able to beat Auburn. But you had the turnovers, right? The turnovers by Carson Beck. Also, Oscar Delp, backup tight end. You got to protect the football, but you got to figure out what's your identity. And I think Todd Monken not being there and being with the Baltimore Ravens right now, along with Stetson Bennett, is kind of slowing this offense down a little bit.
Okay, so last season, Georgia had the top run defense. They're number 39 run right now, which is bad. And facing Ray Davis in Kentucky that rushed for 329 yards versus Florida. So is this a weakness for Kentucky?
It is, or something that they could play to as a strength.
Right.
And you had mentioned Ray Davis earlier when talking about the success of this football team. The thing is, yes, they could take advantage of that weaker run defense. 39, it's bad for Georgia. I think there's a lot of other teams in the country that probably take that. But the run game is their strength. The only issue that I have is how strong can your run game be when your pass game is going to be weak. Devin Leary has not looked like the Devin Leary that we have known him to be. I don't even think he's completing 60% of his passes. And then another big injury. He's playing today, but he's banged up. Barrion Brown. He's one of the best young wide receivers in the country. He was a big playmaker for them last year. He hasn't really been able to break out this year because he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. So if they're not able to pass the football, I just don't know how much an advantage that's going to be. The one thing I will say, though, is because for how much Georgia has been lulling this season, Kentucky has been good at getting big plays and preventing big plays on the other side. So if they're able to do those, I think they've got a shot. But it's going to be tough.
For Kentucky, understand where Brock Bowers is. For Brock Bowers to do what he did in the fourth quarter last week was very inexcusable by Auburn and their defense.
Yeah, for sure. Brock Bowers, the one saving grace, I feel like, for Georgia, and the one reason that we've been talking about them a lot this season. Okay, Notre Dame is taking on your Louisville Cardinals. It is a top 25 matchup, only the fourth ever matchup between these two teams. Notre Dame coming off their last-minute win versus Duke last week. HD, what do your Cards need to do in order to stay undefeated?
The first thing, I'm going to go with Jack Plummer. And Harry Lyles went to the game last week with me against NC State. And he did not handle the blitz well. And his decision-making was very poor. So much that it put that defense in some terrible positions. And that defense was able to anchor them and get a win in that ball game. But I think also the last time this matchup happened in Louisville, it was a blackout. I was at this game. In Louisville, from an offensive standpoint, they had a series of plays that was there for them to make. They didn't make them. You got to make the big plays when they present themselves. And then lastly, for their defense, you must stop the run. We know that this Notre Dame offense is physical. Offensive line, Joe Alt, he's going to be a phenomenal player at the next level. Audric Estime, he's leading the country right now in rushing. So try to make Notre Dame one-dimensional. And it's crazy that I say that because Louisville's had success against Sam Hartman when he was at Wake Forest. So if you can take away that run or, minimize it a little bit, I think Louisville will be sitting in a great position.
All right, Lyles. So obviously we saw Notre Dame have that last-second loss to Ohio State, and they had that last-minute win against Duke. What do you make of this Notre Dame team?
It's interesting to me because, again, another game that we were at, that Notre Dame-Ohio State game, those last 2.5 minutes of that football game, had they just done that 50% better, not even 100% better, just 50% better, we would be talking about this Notre Dame team in such a different light because they do have that veteran quarterback. They are a defensive-minded team. They run the football well. And Marcus Freeman, again, I still think he's a great coach. I really do. And I think the thing that is going to be the most interesting about this game is something, again, that we saw last week, HD, when we were talking about not the Notre Dame offense, the Louisville offense and Jack Plummer. Hey, if Marcus Freeman is watching the same tape that we watched on Friday, which you know he is, I know he is looking at some of that and being like, hey, we are going to pressure this young man for 60 minutes. And that is going to be the difference in this football game. But I think Notre Dame is still a great team. They had two and a half bad minutes, but that's the beauty of college football. It can change your whole season. So.
For sure. We'll see what happens in that matchup at 7:30 p.m. on ABC. Okay, so you guys, we're at the fair. There's a lot of good food here, and we actually, I got to check it out. Now, I love eating the Texas Fair food. There are winners every single season. Take a look at this. Hey guys, we are here at the State Fair of Texas, obviously home of the Cotton Bowl, where Oklahoma will be taking on Texas. But of course, it's also home of really good food. I'm gonna go check some things out, but I'm not by myself. We have Kenneth Murray Jr. You may know this guy, the linebacker from Oklahoma. He has a lot of accolades on the field, but you've never been to the fair and got to experience it.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I mean, obviously, I'm usually playing in the game, so first time being able to come back to the fair.
Yeah, so he's been here for 3 years. He's been here on these fairgrounds. Never had the food, so let's go check it out. Okay, we are here at Fletcher's Corny Dogs. Fletcher's allegedly invented the corn dog, so this is where it all started. Original corn dog.
All right. This is great.
Out of 10, what are you rating Fletcher's Corny Dog?
An 8. What do I do?
8.5 out of 10.
8.5 out of 10. Okay.
Next up on our list is fried pho. The winner of this year's Best Taste Savory, so like it got an award. Yeah, but let's dip it.
Sure.
And then try it. What do you think?
It's not bad.
So what are you giving fried pho?
I got a 6.
Okay, next up on our tour, bourbon, banana, caramel, sopapillas. There's a lot going on here. Yeah, this is fire.
Amazing.
I feel like this is your favorite one so far.
See, I'm not talking as much.
What would you rate it?
10.
10. Okay, next up is the Biscoff Delight. I'm gonna let you try it first.
It's really good.
This is the best thing we've had all day. You get all the Biscoff cookie flavors.
It's very chocolatey, but the cheesecake, like, balances it all the way
Right?
out. Yeah.
The cheesecake is just like... Okay, we are ending our State Fair of Texas food tour in front of Big Tex. We had a good time.
Yeah. You know, we had some good moments.
Yeah. What was your favorite thing now that you've had everything?
My favorite thing probably was the cheesecake.
Okay, let's, can we get a horns down?
Oh yeah, for sure. Big horns down.
Perfect way to end
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Boomer Sooner, baby.
That was so fun. All right. By the way, everybody should go get that Biscoff cheesecake. LSU at Missouri. That's at 12 p.m. on ESPN. Coming off of a shootout loss to Ole Miss, LSU is. Mizzou is still undefeated. Lyles, what do you think about this matchup?
Christine, I think this is probably the most underrated matchup of the day. This has shootout potential. Brady Cook, Luther Burden III, top leading receiver in the country, as HD mentioned earlier. But hey, on the other side, Jada Daniels and Malik Neighbors, they could also do the same thing. The interesting part about this Missouri team, they have been cooking against top 30 defenses. They're averaging over 43 points. I think Missouri could get them here. I think this might be their coming out party tonight.
Okay, we'll see what happens in that matchup. Let's go Alabama, number 11 Alabama, at Texas A&M. Alabama looking to avoid 2 losses before the end of October for the first time since 2007. That's when it meant HD. What do you think about this one?
I think defensively, 2 guys, Dallas Turner and also Chris Bradswell. Between the 2 guys, they have 8.5 sacks. Now, after the Texas game, Dallas Turner didn't have any. He has 5.5 right now, and he's one of the tops in the country at doing it. But I think when you look also at the matchup offensively for Texas A&M, Bobby Petrino, a guy I played for in college, I understand how that offensive system works and what he wants to do. But Max Johnson fixed everything that he wants to do from an offensive standpoint. Evan Stewart, Aniyah Smith, get those weapons, the football, and let those guys go to work.
All right, let's talk about Maryland at number 4, Ohio State. Maryland is 5-0 for the first time since 2001, but of course they're facing a very good Ohio State team, Lyles.
Oh, Christine, I love this matchup. Maryland, they got Baby Tua at quarterback, all right? Now, look, here's the really interesting thing about this Maryland offense, okay? First off, if you read ESPN.com, you always need to read Bill Connolly's preview, okay? He has a very interesting way of laying out this Maryland offense, all right? Basically, the way they operate is within the first 10 yards above the line of scrimmage and the other 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. They are spreading out the field. They're going to make you tackle, and Baby Tua is completing 84% of his passes in that range. So this Maryland offense is explosive, but they're efficient, and it could be a problem for Ohio State.
All right, we'll see what happens in that matchup at noon Eastern. We now welcome in our friend of the show, Desmond Howard. Low-key, you and HD are on the same vibe today.
I was going to say, man, brother didn't get the message.
Great minds think alike.
Well, can I say this? God might not always come when you want him to, but he'll always be on time, Des.
100%.
That's why we look at that.
Absolutely.
Des, we come to this matchup a lot. Obviously, we're at the State Fair of Texas.
Yep.
How exciting is this matchup and this rivalry specifically?
Did you guys know that since 1955, this rivalry is like dead even? It's 33, 33, and 3. That's the record.
Wow.
Yeah. So obviously, there's a lot of hate here.
Yeah.
You know, the fan bases, they don't like each other. And but it's great. It's great for football. We got Quinn Ewers. We saw him in Tuscaloosa against Alabama. Now we get a chance to see Dylan Gabriel. This is his biggest game of the year right now.
Yeah.
And see if he can solidify himself as one of the Oklahoma great quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, who's going to be here, going to be the celebrity guest picker on College Game Day.
There you go.
Yeah, and Dylan didn't play last year. Don't forget, they got blanked 49-0.
That was rough.
Oh, you know, Britt Venables has been waiting for this moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and this is one of those scores that when you go to like the football building, you go in the weight room, like that score is just all around the place. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah, this is that game. This is that moment. So it's going to be exciting. I can't wait.
It'll be a really good matchup. We're excited about that one
I like
today
the hat,
at noon Eastern. Thank you.
Ensemble. Yeah.
I felt like I would bring out my little Western vibes today. It's my favorite aesthetic.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about college football in general because there's a lot of parity this season. 6 teams this season have received a first place vote in the AP poll. 3 teams this week. Georgia, Michigan, Texas all got 10 or more votes. So we're going to take a look at each of those 3 and break them down, starting with Georgia, who I feel like we haven't talked about as much this season. as we have in previous seasons. Obviously, the defense doesn't look exactly how it has in previous season.
Right.
What more do you need to see from the Dogs to be convinced that they're the best team in the country?
Well, you know, when you look at Georgia, you think about a standard, right? Back-to-back national champs going for a three-peat. So in our minds, there's a standard to meet, and they haven't met that standard, in my opinion. Plus, they got like a soft schedule.
Yeah.
And when you have a soft schedule, you need to go out there and play to your standard, not the schedule standard, meaning your opponent.
Right.
So getting off to a slow start against South Carolina, slow start against Auburn, you know, that's just not a good look for a team that's going for a three-peat who we, you know, hold in such high regard as far as what they do in the gridiron. I think that Carson Beck is starting to, you know, just get a feel for the offense. Big shoes to fill, obviously, coming behind Stetson Bennett. And you got Brock Bowers, though. He's like the target. He's the main weapon right now. And I'm looking at Kentucky like this, bro. Listen, Stoops, you going out there saying 19 cannot beat us.
What did I just say?
19 cannot beat us.
What happened last week with Auburn was inexcusable.
Inexcusable. Completely. Like, I'm chewing my DC out.
Yeah.
Like, bro, not that guy. You know what I'm saying? Anybody else.
Right.
So I know Stoops is like me. He's an Ohio guy. You know what I mean? He's from Youngstown. 100%. So he's like, listen, 19 can't beat us today. Come hell or high water, that dude got to be stopped. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how they go out there. They're a physical team. You listen to the Gators talk about the game they had last week against Kentucky. They talk about how physical they were. So they're a physical ball club, but offensively, Leary's got to get something going offensively, too. The transfer quarterback from NC State, he's got to get something going, too, in between the hedges. So it should be a good matchup. I'm excited to see this one.
Now, I want to talk about your very own Michigan Wolverines. When you look at them in the landscape of them potentially being #1 in the country, what are you seeing from them, and where do you think they match up with the other teams?
So Michigan is in a very precarious position from the standpoint that they didn't have their head coach for the first 3 games.
Right.
Yep.
So it was kind of like coaching by committee. They was making the whole mockery of this whole suspension, you know what I mean? But then they got Harbaugh back. They got him back for the Rutgers game, and they started to look a little better, started to look like a Michigan team. But then they went on the road and took on Nebraska. They're like, okay, this is how we expect you guys to look in 2023. So now that Harbaugh's back on the sideline, I think that now we're going to see what Michigan is made of in 2023, and they're looking pretty good.
No, they are. And, you know, one other team that's still, you know, look, Christine declared Texas back last week.
Oh, did she really?
I think this week will go a long way in helping further that agenda, right? But for you, what does Texas need to show you today and moving forward to show that, hey, no, like, they could be the best team in the country? Yeah, well, so we talked about the early game against Alabama on the road against the Tide, and they beat Alabama convincingly. It wasn't like it was like a close game. Like, you know, they got lucky. Like, they went into Tuscaloosa and they beat them convincingly. So they got the best win so far. If they come out here, and it can be a close game, neutral site game, rivalry, we get that, and they win today, I think they will have 2 of the best wins of the season. They probably should be the #1 team in the nation.
That's exactly what I said at the start of the show. Thank you.
But don't sleep on Washington.
There you go.
Do not sleep on the Huskies.
That's what I'm waiting on right
So all
there.
I got to say, a lot of people sleeping on Michael Penix Jr. and they got the best trio of receivers in all of college football. If they take care of their business next week against Oregon, then they're going to have a hell of an argument for that #1 seed.
Yeah, we love to talk about this too because, as I mentioned, there's so much parity in college football this season.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's been very fun to watch. Des, always fun to have you on our set.
Hey, always a pleasure. I'm just glad you guys let me join you youngsters.
Hey,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You know what I mean?
No, thanks, Des.
Appreciate the love.
So yesterday, the Harrys went and played a little game on this Texas State Fair. Go take a listen.
So this week we're taking Harry versus Harry on the road. We usually do the 1-minute drill on set wherever we're at, but we're at the Texas State Fair today, ain't that right?
This is on my bucket list. I've always wanted to come here. Now I'll get to compete against my brother. May the best man win,
That's
baby.
the 3, baby. Let's see it.
Come on, guys. Come on over in the middle, guys. Come on, number 3.
Hey, yo.
Come on over, guys. Number 6, number 6 is the winner. Let's go, buddy. Winner.
Okay.
All right, now. Ooh, that was cool. Oh, I almost missed that one. All right.
Pressure's on.
Oh, my gosh.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, that went through. I got 2 in there. 3, right?
Dub? I got 3 too.
I got 3 first.
I got
3 first.
Oh no, I had all 3 in here.
First.
No, the
League
field
me.
don't lie. The field doesn't
League
lie.
me.
I'm unsure who actually won that.
Well.
Okay, so hold on a second.
The eye in the sky never lies.
No. Hold on, though.
Who
30.
won?
No. I
Okay.
won because, look, no. The objective of the game, as the lady explained, was you got to get it in the net. You had like 5, I'm being real, but they flew through the net. They didn't stay in there. My 3 stayed in there.
Literally, I ripped the net up. I was throwing it so hard, I ripped the net.
He was cooking them.
So Brody got that one.
Watch out, Desmond Ritter.
Okay, so what's up? Are you talking about? Are you talking about yourself?
You gotta stop.
No. Hey, man.
Okay, I don't know exactly who's in the lead, but we'll tally that next. We'll tally that
I think it's
next week.
tied now.
I think
I think overall, yeah.
Okay.
I think we're tied overall.
All right. Well, congratulations. We'll break that tie next week. It's time now to look at who has the Fansville advantage presented by Dr. Pepper. We have a big game in the Pacific Northwest next week with Oregon heading to Washington. I mean, we may or may not be there. How key is home field advantage for this one for the Huskies?
Oh, it's huge. And I think that you're going to see, in these situations where you have a school like Washington that is sort of, I will say they are outperforming what they're used to, right? That is going to be a very loud environment, and it's not like they've got a crazy stadium to fill up. That is going to be big, especially in trying to slow down that Oregon offense. Any sort of advantage you could get for them, you got to take it. So that crowd noise, they're going to have to bring it.
What is going on?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'm confused.
We just got so confused. Oh, it's a Snapchat filter. Got it. I was very confused by that. Lyles, who do you give the advantage to, Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr.?
I'm sorry. I was also No, I think it's going to be Michael Penix.
Okay.
He's hot. I'm sorry. I know I'm picking between y'all kids, but I'm going with Michael Penix. He's got the hot hand. He's a Heisman favorite. I think he's going to roll and have a big weekend.
You're a Bo Nix guy.
I am a Bo Nix guy, but I also believe that obviously Michael Penix Jr. is a better quarterback. Okay, so Dr. Pepper is making college dreams come true with the 2023 Dr. Pepper Tuition Giveaway. Visit drpeppertuition.com to learn how to enter for a chance to win up to $100,000.
Are you cheesy?
I am cheesy.
How cheesy?
Super cheesy.
How much do you love Cheez-Its?
I love cheesy.
How much? How much? How much again? That's what I'm talking about, baby.
It's time now to honor the fan that's feeling the cheesiest with the cheesiest chain, reserved for college football most passionate fans, the one that show up on Saturday feeling the cheesiest. I am with Mr. OU.
Yes,
how are you feeling today, baby?
Man, I'm feeling good. It's early, and Texas sucks today, baby.
Are you feeling cheesy?
I'm feeling real cheesy.
How much do you love Cheez-Its?
Man, I love cheese so much, you give me a box right now for to eat it up.
So you'll eat them in the morning?
I will eat them right now.
You'll eat them for lunch?
I'll eat them for lunch.
You'll eat them for dinner?
I'll eat them for dinner.
Well, so guess what you won? You won a replica chain just like mine. Now, it's a little smaller than mine, but you still have a chain, my man.
Sir.
Mr. OU?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being the cheesiest fan today, my brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Christine, back to you.
Wow, that guy was very intense.
That was great. Best one yet, honestly.
Thank you for joining the show, sir. That was, what'd you say?
That was the best one yet.
Yeah, I think it was. Okay, so obviously there's a huge matchup today. We got Texas taking on Oklahoma. Texas the home team in this one, though. Both teams about equal distance from the Texas State Fair, the State Fair of Texas. So who do you have in this matchup, Lyles?
I'm going with Texas. I think it's going to be a good game. Right, like even in the years that we have seen the imbalance between these teams, sometimes that's when we get the best matchups. I still think we're going to get that sort of matchup today. It's going to be a great one. I think Quinn Ewers has a big day.
Yeah.
I'm going with Texas.
I'm going with Texas. I think their defensive line, if they can't get to the quarterback, get your hands up, bat balls down. Dylan Gabriel, he's going to try to get it out quick. But I just think Texas overall is the better team. They won 49-0 last year, and they're a way better team in 2023 than they were in 2022.
All right, so even though I did hang out with my friend Kenneth Murray Jr. yesterday, it was a grand old time. And actually, we had a previous, that was going to sound weird. I interviewed him and worked a lot with him when I was working for the Big 12 Conference. That was going to sound really weird. Anyways, I'm going with the Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em. There's a lot of Oklahoma people over here, but we're hooking them. As you guys mentioned, this Texas team I think should be number 1 in the country. So, especially after they win this matchup today, they should be number 1 in the country. So we'll see how that matchup goes. 12 p.m. Eastern, and we will see you guys next week, depending on where we are. We're not exactly sure, but hopefully it's a tad bit warmer than it is today. I don't care. I'm going to complain about it. Anyways, thanks for watching Countdown to Game Day, presented by Dr. Pepper. We will see you next week.
Yeah.